Hi, I'm Sandy Powell, and welcome to the Round Table. I am surrounded by the Millennials. Today's show is speaking to them, speaking and hearing from them what they think in the kingdom, as far as the kingdom is concerned, their role. And so I want to say to all of my guests, thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having
Yes.
us.
What I would like for you to do is just go around and just kind of tell us who you are. And we'll start right here to my left.
Okay, I'm Brianna Anderson, part of the senior leadership of the Dominion Center here in Columbus, Georgia.
Okay,
Hey man, I'm Cedric Anderson, senior leader at the Dominion Center.
good.
I'm Nicole Christian. I'm praise and worship team leader at World Changes Tabernacle.
Cool.
I'm Norman Hartman, part of leadership team and staff at Faith Worship Center International.
Good.
I'm Bonnie Anderson. I'm part of the youth department here at World Changes Tabernacle.
And I am J.R. Anderson. I'm youth pastor and successor and whatever you want to call me. A World Changes Tabernacle.
Well, welcome again. Thank you all for being here. First, let me say to you all, I am just most proud. Young people in the kingdom.
Amen.
You know, serious in the kingdom. And so, first of all, let me just clap to each one of you. Thank you so much, because you could be doing so different from where you are today. And so just to see you all hitting the pavement and running for the Lord is just an awesome thing. So millennials, the buzz is on y'all. You are the hot topic. It's all about, I'm on social media reluctantly sometimes, but everybody's buzzing about you. Everybody's talking about you all and what your role is. Can you all tell us, what's your role? Jump in.
Well, I'll jump in. Hey man, I think our role as millennials or remnant is to just advance the kingdom, advance the vision in which Jesus set in the earth. I think it's kind of more so people can't kind of understand us in this new age because they think that we're trying to disregard what they've done. But the Lord is just calling us to usher in a way that we can be all things to all people in this modern day age. Right. So I think that it's our job to just take what they've done and just advance it, because the Lord said, behold, I do a new thing. And God is always doing new things and springing forth new things and springing forth new ideas. So it's our job to grab from the old, mix it with the new, and just birth it out.
Amen. Anybody else want to add?
I was going to say something similar to that, but I think ultimately our job is just when the torch is being passed to us, and it's our jobs now to take that responsibility and not only just take it, but take it and be serious about it, and kind of know that using our forefathers and our mothers and pastors, some of us are PK kids up here and some of us grown up in church, so it's we kind of have to look at what our parents did and adjust, like he said, and do something that will bring the people our age in, and kind of bring those who wouldn't necessarily look at Christ before. Now they'll be able to pay attention because we are bringing something to them that looks like it, but it's just Christ. You know?
Yeah. I believe it's like changing of the guard. When I was in the military, at some point, the command or leadership, it was just that time. It wasn't that they didn't do well. It was just time to move forward in a new direction. And the changing of the guard was just simply preparing people for the new command. And I'm not saying we're the new command. Jesus Christ is head, but we're changing the guard because it's time to elevate us into the new way of bringing people to Christ. And it's just the changing of the guard is never fun. It's new, it's different, and sometimes is even people don't even want it. They want to stay with the old commander. They know him, they know how he works, know how he operates, and now you got this new person in charge that's still teaching a great thing, but he's just a different person, or she's a different person, and people, the flock sometimes is like, hey, I don't want to learn a new person. I want the same old person. So the millennials were just doing something really different than the old school, we would say. And I think that can be hard to receive at times.
You was going to say, Elder?
Absolutely, I agree with everything that has been said. And God wants us to take that same message that's gone down through the ages and just apply it to the generation that we're a part of.
Right.
I think our job is still to learn from the generation that's in place, you know, the wisdom that's there, but to use the innovation that God has given us to speak to a different generation.
Right. All of your answers were just on point. You know, and I think a lot of times the older generation need to hear what you're thinking.
Amen.
And all of you are holding fast to what I call the generation prior. The bridge has not been removed, and so you are allowing the older generation the information and wisdom that's been given and passed on to you all. You're taking it with you. You're just now like a good runner in a relay race. The baton is being passed. Each runner is different, and so now you're saying this is now the time, a different runner, but the same race. Is that good? Go ahead.
And I would say, and I'm probably opening up a can of worms, but I think that sometimes the older generation have to be receptive
Right here.
to the new ideas and the things that we're going to bring, because they can sometimes be so used to this way or the old way, or we've done it this way, this is how it should be done. So when you have a young Rudy Prue like us come and present something new,
She called out Rudy
I'm
Poo.
not gonna call myself. I will not call myself a Rudy Poo.
but that's kind of how
That's how we
first-
see it.
that's
We
how
look
you
at
see
y'all as
it,
Rudy
like,
Poos.
you don't know, you know, we've done this before.
Right.
Versus, okay, let's just hear the idea, let's hear the thought, and maybe work together with the wisdom that they have, and then with the new idea to make it all come together to uplift the kingdom.
Right. Go
I
ahead.
agree with her. And a lot of times with the older generation, I know they hate to hear that word older. Like
We don't really
slide
hate
out
it.
or something. Some of them seasoned
Let's make
generation.
it sound mature.
Don't pacify us. Don't pacify us.
Trailblazers.
A lot of times, the older generation don't realize that unless they're all poured out, unless they're fully poured out of themselves, they can't be rejuvenated with the new. And when the older generation pours out into another millennial, that millennial's job is to continue to pour back into that person. But it may seem like they're not going in the same route or pouring out the same thing, but actually they're pouring them into this next season. So a lot of times they can't understand why we do what we're doing. What we're doing is actually pouring into them where God is getting ready to place them. But if they don't receive it, they themselves stay in that old season.
Like when computers first got on the scene, we older people, we didn't want to give up our paper. I want to write it down. I want to write, and we didn't want to, you know, go to the next thing of computers. And some people lost their jobs because they did not want to transcend to the next stage, which is computers. They felt like it was going to be too difficult to grasp and hold. And so I get that. And see, I put that out there for this one reason. But the one thing that I don't want the millennials to do is, in all of your getting, please get all understanding, because that paper pusher, what she's writing is going to go into that computer.
That's right.
The information, the data, the wisdom, the experience that she has or he has, that is going to eventually end up in the computer, in the database, came from that little paper pusher. You know what I mean?
I think it's important, ultimately, to understand that the millennials and most of us, we really are not coming to do anything different but win souls for Christ. It just looks different. You know, we have youth pastors and pastors at all churches. We just wear jeans when we minister. You know what I'm saying? We might wear some heels, you might see some shoulders, but at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is bring lost souls for Christ, to Christ. That's the ultimate goal, and I think that sometimes between the two generations, we get caught up in the method of things. You know, if at the end of the day, if I wear my shoulders out, because I know somebody on TV may be offended, like, why is she on TV with her shoulders? But, you know, hey, if with my shoulders, with my shoulders, and I'm just using myself as an example, but with my shoulders out, at the end of the day, if somebody can say, you know, I see Christ in her. I want what she has, and I want her to come talk to me so I can ask her questions about this Jesus Christ. Then why are we fighting? We fight because it just looks different, and so we appreciate the seasoned saints and the trailblazers. Trust me, I've seen you as my mother and dad as my father grow up. I grew up in church, and I appreciate the wisdom. And same thing with Norman here. We appreciate the wisdom that our parents provided to us, growing up as PKs. And we only want to do, the only thing that we really want to do is add to that. You know what I'm saying?
You was going to say something.
Yes, I think too, succession. With us, the millennials, right now, it's like we're being turned into a denomination. And it's kind of like make you weary to even say, I'm a millennial. And it's because I think now our hearts, well, not me, but most of the hearts of the young generation, they're turning away from the fathers. And I think it's going to take process pioneers. It's going to take process seasoned pioneers to really turn their hearts to the sons. Because that's the first job. He said, I want the fathers to turn their hearts, to the sons, and then the sons back to the fathers. And I think that if we stop and get caught up on us, each generation, we're going to miss what God wants to do in the earth, because he wants us to be successors. And really, we're all still building upon the same foundation, because even the pioneers, the older generation, they based on Christ. And we're now building on Christ. So when we turn our hearts back to each other and honor one another, it's more easier to bring forth, because we're only bringing forth excellence, what you all already have built. Everything that the forefathers, those who've gone before us, everything that they have worked so hard for, the only thing we're doing now, our assignment is to bring that into another capacity of maturity.
Yes, you made a great point about fathers turning to their sons and sons turning back to the father. That's what this show is about. Because I am seeing this behavior where there's I'm gonna say the baby boomers. I just want to disclaim that I am on the tail end of the baby boomers. I almost wasn't one, but nevertheless, I'm in there. They got me by 2 years. Okay, I made the cut, but I hate to almost be classified with baby boomers. Nothing personal, just saying. It just.
And track it.
Yeah, I know. I feel like I was in World War II or something. Nevertheless, but that's what I'm trying to do. There is no difference than you and me.
Yes.
We're on the same team. I now have the mind to be able to give to you something while you have the strength to run with what I give you.
That's right.
And so I'm tired now. Wow. We get tired when you get older. But what I have, I freely give to you.
Amen.
And so when we're imparting to each other, and not saying that younger people can't give the older generation something, because I gleam from the young all the time. And so it should be what I call the bridging of the generations. That's the foundation that I have. It should be a crossing all the time.
Absolutely.
There should never be a door on that bridge that you can't cross over at any time. You were going to say something?
And it's just funny, or it's ironic that the generation before us, or the old saints, would say that the millennials are different. It's almost like y'all created us. I remember as a young teenager, what was instilled into me, and how we were told to be innovative and to be different and to stand out. And then now we are that.
Y'all sit down, start cutting the monkey.
Right. Y'all, it's the older saints don't know how much they have pushed us to become who we are, to become the millennials that we are now. Because without that push from y'all, I could say for myself, I probably wouldn't even been in the seat. So it's the push from y'all which has allowed us to be, different in many ways, and it's allowed us to go into the byways and highways and to reach people, because the older saints have instilled that same foundation. And I can just imagine when they were younger, somebody else pushed them into where they are, and they were different.
Right.
I'm sure the baby boomers were different from
we were
prior to that. Y'all were different.
We were.
But they couldn't see it at that moment until we never believe the harvest until we see it.
Right.
You don't know how much you got until you actually see.
Right. Bring it in.
Where the sprout.
Right. As a matter of fact, Mahalia Jackson, this is a history note, was actually thrown out of a church for singing a song they felt like was a worldly song. But it was her genre of music. It was the way she was singing it. At the time, it just wasn't how gospel was sung. And so they considered her worldly.
Right.
Wow.
You call that old time singing now hymnal almost today.
Right.
And so I really don't have a problem with the change of music. I always look at the heart of the music.
Absolutely.
So if the heart of the music is centered Christ, I say, you know, let's rock it. Let's
Amen.
bring it.
Right.
So
There
you was
was-
going to say something.
Yeah, there was one thing that you said when you were talking about the father and son. You said that we're on the same team, and that made me think about competition. So the biggest thing that I think the older generation and our generation have to really work on is not being in competition with one another.
Absolutely.
It's not about, oh, this young person can do it better than I can, or run laps around me. You know, we're supposed to be working together. And if the young person has something to offer that you can't, okay, take that, and vice versa
Exactly.
with the
Right.
older.
Exactly.
And I think it's a lot of competition. We want to hold on to whatever it is we have versus passing that baton that, like you spoke about earlier.
Exactly.
My God.
You were going to say something, Elder? You had a comment you was going to make?
Sure. I would say to the baby boomers and those that are before us,
Put your mic up.
don't be intimidated by the giftings and the talents.
Right.
One thing that I love is studying history. And the guys that do it well love to have energy and smart people around them and energetic people around them, and are not intimidated at all by their giftings.
Right.
You know, I'm still in charge. God is still giving me the vision.
Say that.
So you're not gonna come and run this vision per se, but be submitted. And for me, I learned so much more by being submitted
Yeah.
and humility by following a leader and realizing that you never learn, you never reach the pinnacle of learning.
That's
Right.
right.
And that even if God gives you your own vision, you can still be submitted
Oh, yeah.
to something that's going on.
Yes.
So with our generation, we may do it differently. And a lot of the people that I talk to, they say, I don't see myself as a title. You know, I don't see myself on a certain board or whatever, but, you know, you get me out there in the area of business and get me behind a camera, and, man, I would love to do what I do in the spirit
Right.
of excellence
Right.
and then minister the gospel to people. You can easily do that, you know, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, but still be submitted to someone on Sunday.
That's right.
Amen.
And I see God putting that spirit of evangelism on this generation.
Yes, yes.
Well, that's one of the arts of the art of evangelism had been lost. It's an art by the older generation. We have lost that, and we lost that in a time frame. And I'll tell the truth about it. There was a prosperity time
Yes. Yes.
that we lost that evangelism. I mean, it was all about bigger and better, and not soul. You know, add to the church such daily that it was about the soul and not about the crowd of people.
Yes.
And so the art of evangelizing is coming back. As a matter of fact, if you got your ear to the ground and if you're listening to God in any kind of way, you hear it. You hear it. Get out there in the highways and byways, you hear it. And so the saints are going back that way, but you all are going to be past that baton, and this will be heavy in your generation. The art of evangelizing. You was going to say something?
I was going to say the important thing that we need to, as millennials, take and learn from the older saints is, I think Bonnie had made a comment about a competition. We have to not take that into the millennials.
Don't do it.
Because what I saw and what I know any one of us see is a lot of competition. We have it between the millennials. We have it between the older saints. We have it, I can't support you because I feel like you think you're going to be grander and greater than me. And so we have to get back on track. From each generation, we have to look at the mistakes they made and learn to do better. And so from that generation, we have to stop that because we have taken that into our generation. Competitive.
Right.
You know, I can't fellowship with the Andersons because I don't want them to think that I need them because I'm great and grand and the anointing's on me, on my right here. So I don't have to fellowship with them and they don't have to fellowship with me. But what we need to understand is that we can't do anything and be effective unless we all have each other.
That's
Right.
That's right.
We were talking about this off camera, Elder Harmon and Andersons. We were talking about this off camera, the unifying of the body of Christ. And I'm not going to get too deep in it because that's my next week's show. But just tapping on a little bit, you're absolutely right. That spirit of competition was never designed, because even in Jesus' time, the disciples tried to kick it off.
Yes, they did.
Well, which one of us is going?
Believe which one of us
Which
is
one
gonna
of
be the
us you're
greatest
gonna
one.
raise up into
right.
your spot? And so it was always something that had to be battled in the kingdom.
My God.
And so somehow or another, it has found its way into the church, and you all, along with us, we're going to have to pull that stronghold. Who's got to pull the stronghold down? We do. We have to pull that stronghold down. So yes,
We're going to have to learn to support each other.
Amen. Amen.
If Elder Harmon is doing something at his ministry, we all have to learn to come and support.
Right.
Not try to do it differently. And World Changes.
and put another name
Put
on
another name on it. You know, if they're out witnessing in the neighborhood, we can join them.
Amen.
And it doesn't have to be in the name of a particular church. We just come in the name of Jesus.
Right.
And I think that that's what we have to learn from our elders. We're not coming trying to make our churches great.
I
We're coming
think
just to make the
you
name of
all
Jesus
will
great.
get this.
Amen.
I think that you all will teach us this.
Oh, yeah.
This is something I think that we will learn from you all, is to, I call it drop your stones.
Yes, my
Drop
God.
your stones and become that unified body,
Oh, yeah.
arm, leg, torso,
Right.
foot, the body, and come together. You all will do this better than we did it.
Because, and I even think that, because a lot of the older generation, they think that we don't really see what they're doing nowadays really effective. A lot of them feel like we just overlook them, and that's not it, and that's not it, and that's not it. But what God did, if we all remember when Jesus went up to the mountain and Moses and Elijah appeared. Moses and Elijah appeared, and the disciples tried to build up a tent or something for them, but God told them to pay attention to Jesus. And they said when they looked back, Jesus and Moses and Elijah were gone. That was a closing out of one era.
Yes.
So if the older generation has to understand that those dispensations, they were good for those times. And they're just not what God is doing anymore, because things have changed. The enemy has gotten more crafty.
That's it. That's what it
And
is.
that stuff back in the day, it worked for that era to kind of put some of that stuff at ease. But nowadays, the enemy has studied. And we can never forget that he's crafty, he's sneaky. So God is now birthing in us something that we can birth into the older now. It has been a changing of the guards, like he said. He's birthing in us something that we can birth in them, so that they can continue to move forward.
Well, but what if I'm understanding you correctly, what you all will do, are doing, or going to do, or doing and going to do, we will gravitate to it. It's something that we too, like the computer thing, we'll learn how to use the computer. We'll understand that the computer is not the devil. We'll understand that. And so it won't be that we'll just come along. We'll be along with you, because at the end of the day, it's all about this. What is God saying?
That's it. That's all. That's right.
What is God saying? And so, and even in the new movement, can I tell y'all this? Even in the new movement, what worked this week, if God is not saying do that next week, that will not be in place. That will be an error.
That's it.
And so we can't use even we call it the anointing, but we start to use tricks and gimmicks to say that this is the anointing, and it's not new, because I tell you what, if you kick off the right him, you see, you can set it on fire at the church right now. If you kick off the right hymn,
On stage.
you know what I'm saying? Everybody will be slain.
Yes.
So it's not that the old can't be, but you can't not allow God to be at the center of whatever it is that we're doing, be it old or be it new, and it be effective.
And it's what's happening is unification, and not only as a faith, but I think we have to unify as a culture.
Amen.
I think that that's the biggest thing I have seen as from a young man to now as an adult is, we don't support each other as brothers and sisters.
Right.
And we can go right down to any other church, and they support each other. Even though they're different entities, somehow they come together and formulate a plan. But for us as a culture, we seem as if one person has the idea that they're superseding the other people.
Right.
And if we would just learn to unify, and the old saints, this is something y'all were great at. unification, because at that time we was all we had. But now we in a day and age where it's so much freedom and liberty.
Prosperity
Right.
has divided us.
Right.
Yeah.
So now we'll everybody's trying to run in their own lane.
Right.
But we were so much stronger
Right.
as
When it took your dollar and my dollar to do this,
yeah.
now I got my own dollars. We don't really want to unify.
Yeah, because when we were kids, when we were kids, I remember when we were kids, we would link up with churches and we would go hand flyers out. When we was kids, I remember that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was several churches.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I mean, I rarely even see that from our culture.
Right.
I mean, being a black person.
Right.
Right. I'm not getting in trouble.
You're not in trouble.
I'm good.
It's this.
Okay.
It's not a secret. You're a black man.
They know what I'm saying. But
black.
we have to be able to go back to that time where we joined forces as a church, and we didn't care who
Right.
church it was, but all of us were out there doing the same thing.
Right.
And-
I think, like I said, and I'll repeat this, your generation will do this.
Amen.
Your generation, and we talked about the remnant. See, it takes just a remnant, a small group, to kick it off and just make it contagious.
Right.
Where it's intolerable to exclude. Like if one church has a great outreach, like we have a church that we support. They have a great food bank, clothing bank. Now we have the space to have food bank and clothing bank here, but why?
Right.
That's right.
Why
That's
not
right.
just send our food and clothing
That's it.
over there and
Absolutely.
send the people there to be, receive whatever goods they need?
That's right.
Why not be supportive there?
Amen.
I'm not harmed. There's nothing taken away from us in what God gave us to do
Yes.
to support.
Amen.
If your ministry is doing something in the community, why not come and support that?
Absolutely.
And I think you all will break down those walls and do that.
Amen.
You was gonna say something? Okay. Harmon.
I'd like to say when we find our lanes, then we'll be able to do
That's
that.
it. That's good.
I don't think we realize that the reason there are different churches is because we're all supplying different needs.
Hi, I'm Sandy Powell, the host of The Roundtable, where we'll have discussions that are relevant to us all. See, I understand the importance of communication. It breaks down barriers and it gives us understanding. And if you're about real solutions to real problems and you want to have real talk, meet me here at The Roundtable every Sunday evening at 6:30 p.m. at WYBU. I'll see you there.
World Changes Tabernacle, led by Prophet Prathan Powell, is a word-based church committed to seeing you win. We're called to create a loving and caring community for all people and work together for justice and peace in our world. Recognizing that our spiritual journeys are all different, we strive to be respectful and inclusive concerning each individual's relationship with God. We believe that Christianity is a lifestyle, and we're committed to teaching, learning, and living the Word of God. It's more than a song, more than a shout, more than a dance. Whether you're a committed follower of Christ or just curious about God, you are invited to visit with us. Give us a call or check out our website for more information or to see our sermon times.